Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name's Joe Layden. I'm the town manager here in Upton, and we're joined by representatives from Colonial Power. We have Mark, Joe, and Denise, and they're going to sort of talk more about the program and also about the process. But just to sort of back up a little bit, the town of Upton started with its electrical aggregation plan efforts, now coming up on almost 4 years ago. The plan required select board approval. That got submitted to the Department of Public Utilities back in, it was March of 2022, I believe.
I believe you're correct.
And then we spent about a year and a half with that plan in front of the Department of Public Utilities. And last year, when we were all experiencing, or a lot of Upton residents were experiencing these huge peaks and spikes in electric supply rates, we were trying to really work with Colonial to pressure the Department of Public Utilities to try to approve that plan so we could start up with this electric aggregation plan again. A lot of you received mailings. Mark's going to get into that. And we do have a bunch of material on the town's website. We are recording this so that we can have it on the town's website, have it on social media, as well as our YouTube channel, and encourage anyone, if they do have questions, feel free to either reach out to my office or Mark, Joe, and Denise are going to be around after to answer some questions. Hopefully a lot of the questions that you have, we can answer tonight. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Mark.
Correct. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Good evening. My name is Mark Caponone with Colonial Power. I'm here to talk to you tonight about the town of Upton's municipal aggregation program and what it actually means to you as a consumer. So my first point tonight is this program is nothing more than choice. The town is bringing you a choice that you haven't had in the past. Well, actually, Upton has had it in the past. We suspended the program, needed to go back through the process a second time. There was an issue back in 2016-17 with capacity in the SEMA load zone, which is southeastern Mass, where you're located. That has since subsided, and now the market pricing is back in line, so we're able to get the program going again with favorable pricing. So this program is to talk to you about your national grid bill, and it has to do with the supply portion of your bill. There's two parts to your electricity bill now. There's the T&D, or the transmission and distribution. Those are the utility, what I'll call monopoly rates. And then there's supply. That has actually been deregulated so that you can do things like municipal aggregation, choose a third-party supplier if you wish, or stay with your utility. The town is bringing you the option to participate in a municipal aggregation program. What does that mean for you? These programs, by state statute, are required to be opt-out aggregations. Meaning, if you got this mailing, you're going to be enrolled in the program. If you got this mailing here, you're going to be enrolled in the program. You don't need to do anything to be enrolled in the program. But the choice is always yours. You can opt out of the program, opt back into the program. There's never a fee. There's never a penalty to do so. So for you, you have a choice that did not exist in the marketplace before. This is not Colonial. This is the Attorney General said those third-party supply individual contracts, just be careful because there's a lot of small print fees and penalties that go along with them. So there are no teaser rates here. This is completely transparent. The town is signing a contract on your behalf that you get to participate only if you wish. Hot button item, you need to opt out of the program if you wish not to participate. So if you receive this, and I'm just going to go through it quickly, you receive this mailing, which I apologize for all the information in the mailing, it's DPU required, but this is the main focus of this. This is the consumer notification form. The town of Upton is bringing you 3 different choices that you can participate in, but everyone will be put into the standard default, and that's the same product as basic service, has the exact same renewable content as basic service, and it just happens to be 2 cents cheaper. Rather than $16,055, you're going to be paying the 14,120. So that's where everyone would be moved to. Say you were looking to do something a little bit more renewable, from a green or renewable standpoint, the town's also offering an economical choice of the 14,250. And that's a national wind product. So those renewable energy credits would be coming out of, say, Texas or maybe the hills in Pennsylvania. They also wanted to offer what I'll call the gold standard, 100% Mass Class 1 product. If you happen to be local green, it has to do with wind and solar here in Massachusetts, built after 1997, you certainly can opt up to that 17.2 cents. But everyone's going to get put into the standard program. What does it mean for you, though? Do you have to do anything? How does it affect you as the end user? The question really, it doesn't affect you at all. If you have any of the programs, I'm just going to say automatic billing, automatic withdrawal, budget billing. You have you want to use the Mass Save. You have solar panels. You might have a low-income discount. All of those are utility programs that you're going to continue to receive. Those programs work with municipal aggregation seamlessly. You don't need to call anyone, you don't need to do anything. All those programs are already incorporated. We've been doing this for years, coming up on, I guess 20 years now that we've been running these programs. So from your perspective, if you wish to participate, you don't need to do anything. On to the next piece of information from here. Let's say that you did not want to participate. For some reason, didn't like the idea of the opt-out or so forth. It's very simple. No one, I just want to state this, no one is going to try to keep you in this program. If you're looking to get out, we're going to get you out. When you're looking to get in, we're going to get you back in. Inside this mailing here is an opt-out card. You sign this card, date it, slip it inside this envelope, put it in the mail. That's it, you're on the program. That doesn't mean you're out of the program for good. You can join it at any time. But there's no hassle. We're trying to do this as easy as possible, but to get the best price. That's why it's an opt-out aggregation. So for pricing reasons in energy, it's very important that you have a load that you would actually be able to price. That's why these programs are opt-out, but it always accommodates someone that does not want to participate. So that's the second part of this mailing. There's two other pieces here that I think are important. This is an LAD, simply a language access document. If English is not your first language, this is simply telling everyone to get all of these materials translated so that you understand what's happening. The last one in here, as far as a full page of paper, just describes that standard product, and this is DPU required. So it just tells you what this standard product is, what its makeup is, so forth and so on. The last piece in your mailing is simply renewables and how all of these renewables currently participate. If you participate in the program, this is what your renewables will actually be. So the town has taken this step. They've signed a 2-year contract with the rate set at 14.1. And what's going to happen over those next 2 years? So let's just say we have another spike this coming winter. Mr. Putin decides to drop bombs through Europe. You don't have to worry about your rate changing. This rate is fixed for the next 24 months. Don't have to worry about a thing. This is a fixed rate contract. It won't change. But over those next 24 months, we're going to approach the manager and say, Joe, we see a tremendous, I'm making this up right now just so that no one thinks I have a crystal ball. We see an opportunity in 2027 to drop the rate to 10 cents. Would you be interested right now in purchasing those energy futures? He can make that decision right now to purchase for 2027. Price is going to be 10 cents. I'm going to drop it. Okay, we're going to do that. We have use of the marketplace. And this is where aggregation is completely different than basic service. And I thought the exact same thing. Everyone believes the utility is out there purchasing energy to benefit you. Unfortunately, that's not what actually happens. The way the utility works, the DPU has a process that they set up for. Said you need to go out to the marketplace and you need to buy 50% of your needs twice a year. So they go out now and they buy. So they just changed this, but so they're going to go out and buy their energy for a strip that starts in August and ends in January 31st. But, excuse me, they buy for the full year. They buy from August to July. And then 6 months later, they buy another 50% of their needs. They ladder those two buys, and that's your price. And this is what I wanted to say to you. So 2 years ago, I'm certain nobody here that has an electricity bill is going to forget 33,891. That was the price of energy. When that price was that high, did the utilities do anything different? Unfortunately, they didn't. But I'm going to tell you, right now, when we sat down with the manager, we talked about where we are in pricing. Now, this is much better than it is, but from a historic standpoint, we're still high. That's why, just given the geopolitical situation, we said we're only going to take this for 24 months, not 4 years. Hopefully, pricing is going to start to settle down, and hopefully the next leg of the journey will be lower. I can't guarantee anything. I don't know what anyone's going to do, but it allows us to use the market to our advantage. 2 years before we had those, it was the beginning of COVID, and pricing was absolutely rock bottom pricing. Haven't seen it in years, 9-10 cent power. Our aggregations went out for 2 or 3 years at that time because, hey, we'll take this power all day long. You know what the utilities did? They bought 50% of their needs for 12 months and laddered those buys. Because by law, they can't do anything different. That's why these programs have been so effective. It is using the marketplace and your load profiles. One more thing I just want to say is the utilities have a load. All of these customers, and I know most people are going to say, well, they have a giant load, right? The Walmart effect, they can buy more energy. And if they buy more energy, they're going to get a better price. Well, not necessarily, because those customers, I'm going to use you as an example, you're going to remove all of your customers from their base. Well, the person bidding on that load has already bought energy futures. And that creates a migration risk. That happens all the time. The utilities don't have a load profile that is going to be solid. You do. And some supplier that's looking to actually buy this load or bid on this load gets the customer base for the next 24 months. Knowing that I can almost guarantee that somewhere between 5 and 7% of the customers will opt out of the program. Perfectly fine. That's this program. It's okay to opt out. It's okay to come back in. This is here for your protection, which we haven't been able to offer you in the past. Now, I have been doing a lot of talking, throwing a lot of information at you. I'm really here to answer your questions. And I know everyone has questions, that's why you came tonight. So if I could start to take some questions and we'll get interactive. Yes, sir.
So customers who are on solar,
Yes.
who own their panels versus conjunction with
Yes.
someone, how would this program affect their bill in the sense that National Grid would still supply the electricity, so there'd be a bill for that rate coming in, I'm presuming, and then the energy that's used would be charged by Colonial Power, is that correct?
So it's not technically us, this program here, and just give me 1 second here. This is direct energy. So when you're using power from the grid,
Right.
you're going to be using it at the 14 cents. It's a great question, by the way, at the 14 cents. National Grid always uses basic service, so they're going to credit your bill, the basic service rate to 16. You get a double whammy win on this right now, but the knife cuts both ways. So you pay 14 when you're using it, they're crediting you 16 when you're generating it. That's a double win for you. Let's just say 6 months from now the rate goes to 13.5. You would, if you stayed in the program, you would be paying the 14 and they'd be crediting you the 13.5. But it works identical, but they'll always credit the basic service rate, and if you stay in the program, that's why in the past, it's a net zero. Now there might be a small delta.
Yeah, so follow-up to that is, so if I build credit for National Grid, but I'm using this other energy coming in, so for example, in the winter, we don't produce as much.
Correct.
Let's just say I use 1,000 kilowatts
Yes.
offset, doesn't matter because I have a bill. But I'm sitting on $1,000 worth of credits. Are those credits applicable to the supply?
Yes, it most certainly is. You don't need to do a thing, it will all work the way, just you're gonna be sipping at it, right, because you're not gonna be the 16.5, you're gonna be paying the 14.1.
Right. So in the summer, when this comes through, for example, which is the knife both ways, is I make more in the summer, so I'm getting 16 cents per kilowatt coming in. Program ends, let's say, and it goes to 18 or whatever from that company, it's the back end on that side.
Exactly, but this program probably won't end. There'll be another contract after that and so forth and so on. But it'll always be the 14. What I'm going to say to you, and it's just unfortunate the way it works in ISO New England. So when we generate the most electricity on solar, summertime, right? Spring, summer, shoulder months. That happens to be when the rates are lowest. So you get less credit for what you produced. When you're actually using it, it's actually at a higher price, which ends up eating through your credit a little bit sooner. That's a function of New England and summer and winter, that's all. All set?
I think so.
Yes, sir. Right.
All right, so what happens if, and it's not gonna happen, but what happens if National Grid goes to 9 and we're locked in at 14? Are we get something back from National Grid?
So you're never locked in. This is a great question. Let's just say kumbaya, Putin leaves Ukraine and it's a wonderful world again, right? And it does go to 9 cents. At that point, you still have a decision to make. You can either stay in the program or opt out of the program, go to the 9 cents, and when the next madman goes crazy, join back in the program. But the choice is always yours, but without the plan in place, there's no protection. You're at 33 cents and then third-party supply only. This contract stays in place. If it all went to 9 cents and everyone opted out, that 14 cents would still be there if someone wanted to opt in. Yes, sir.
Well, a question with respect to the National Grid rate. You said that if you got a mailing, you automatically opted in.
To this program,
Right,
yes,
program.
correct.
What happens if your supplier on your bill is not National Grid? For example, we have Direct Energy already.
On a private contract, yes.
Private. Will we be able to make that switch without having to go through sort of gyrations with Direct Energy again?
So the answer is yes. This is an excellent question. So somebody signed a third-party supply contract, and he's just asking, what do I need to do to get into the program? It couldn't be simpler. So the one thing I want to make sure is, on those private contracts, depends how long you've been on, but sometimes there's fees or penalties to leave. Once you know there is no fee or penalty to leave, you don't need to be combative with the supplier. You just simply go online and click on this opt-in, opt-out button on Colonial Power Group, have your electricity bill, and when you sign up, the way it actually works is you'll sign up and that will go to Direct Energy. They will then take that enrollment, send it to National Grid. This is very interesting because they'll send it to National Grid. National Grid will then send a drop back to Direct Energy on your contract because you now have an enroll here and drop you from that program. Just make sure there's no fee or penalty to do so.
Thank you.
Very simply. Yes, sir.
So you've got a private supplier, Direct Energy.
Yes.
Your contract ends December.
Yes.
You told Direct Energy, I'm out.
Yes.
Don't renew it, no longer renew it. At that point, National Grid has no supplier for me, because Direct Energy says, I'm not supplying. Since I haven't opted out of the town program, do I have to opt into the
You do have to opt into the town program. First, I want to say that's a great question because I missed something here. I want to make sure that everyone knows. This is a financial transaction. So you tell them to drop you. You don't just, the lights don't shut off on your house in your next meter read, right? You'll end up back on basic service, and then you could opt in. But you could opt in at the same time that that's ending. Best with National Grid, their system is a little antiquated, so that you don't say, cancel me here and enroll here. Those two transactions in their system causes a lot of problems. Tell them that that's wonderful, opt in. The opt-in will automatically get the drop to Direct Energy or whoever your supplier is.
So you're better off opting into the program, let your current contractors, whoever it might be, Direct or Constellation, when they cancel, since I'm in the program, I'll be on the program.
That is a correct statement. That you enrolling in the program will drop you from your program.
Next question.
Yes.
The program itself, assuming some people are crazy like me and like to shop with energy.
That's great. That's not
I
crazy.
can opt in, let's assume the rate's 14 cents for the next 2 years. someone's running a promo at 8 cents,
Yes,
I can opt out of the program,
correct,
go to XYZ Energy Company.
Correct.
Take their 6-month rate for 6 cents, whatever they're selling it for, use that for my 6 months, and then opt back in.
that's 100% correct statement.
My backup, what used to be National Grid is now the town program.
It certainly can be, is all I'm saying to you. You could go back to basic service if down there, but absolutely no fee or penalty for any residential customer to go back and forth.
And we can opt in and out.
As many times as you want. I want to see, time out. I've just misspoken. Only on a meter read. So we don't have smart meter reads. They can only do it on a meter read, so I can't opt in and out of the program twice in a month. But each month I can do that, no different than any other time. But every other month you could opt in and out of the program. It's not a problem at all.
Just push the button.
Just click that button and this, honestly, I'm not sure if there, but there's, about, if you have your electricity bill, it'll take you less than 5 minutes. Very simple. Yes, ma'am.
When do you anticipate all this starting? Like, when is it officially start?
So the program actually starts in October with your October meter read, but we use energy first and then we pay for it. There'll be a notation on your electricity bill that you're being switched up the top, saying you're being switched to the Upton aggregation, direct energy Upton aggregation. Then in November, you'll see it on your bill. Rather than basic service, it's going to say direct energy Upton aggregation. That's how you'll know that you're in the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keep coming, yeah.
If you opt into the program and you have a third-party supplier currently,
Yes.
when you opt in, does National Grid notify the third-party supplier? So you really got to find that right.
That's why before you opt out, make sure there's no fee or penalty to do so. It's most important, most important. Let's say it happened. Let's say it happened. I opted out of the program and I got hit with a fee on the bill. I want you to call me, and we deal with the suppliers all day, every day. I'm not going to call the 1-800 number. I'm going to call someone there, and we're going to get it taken care of for you to the best of our ability should it happen. We're here to help and make sure that you're enrolled and dropped when you want to be. Not you having to deal with the utility and everyone else. That's why the town's hired us. We deal with this on a daily basis, opt-ins, opt-outs. That's our job. More questions? Yes, sir.
In the 2 years, when they have new rates, do you have to go through this opt-in, opt-out again?
Fantastic, fantastic question. The answer is no. So you'll be switched into the exact program that you're in, maybe a slightly different product, but the default will change, and there will be a mailing stating to you, this is the new rate, this is the new term, so that you actually know this is what's happening with the town program. Again, full transparency, no one's trying to switch or trick you. What they're trying to do is create stability and savings for you. That's the goal of the program. That's what's happened historically due to the low profile that you currently have. So from that perspective, there's going to be full transparency for you to say, I'm going to make us look good right now. It's going to go from 14 down to 12.2. And that's going to be the new rate for 18 months. The next contract after that might be 36 months. I'll kick us, it's going to be 14 cents again. It just depends on the energy market and what's out there and available at the time.
And Mark, if I can add in 2 years, that would constitute a new agreement with the town. The select board would be voting because you're essentially going back out to bid, right?
That is correct.
So on the town's website, we're then going to also be having that information so that you can see what the expiring contract is for a price, what the new one is, so that you can see that difference and make sure that you're fully informed. I live in Northbridge, and we just received notice that our rates are changing. We've had it in Northbridge for 6 years now. I've in some ways forgotten about it because it was a saving 6 years ago, and then after tracking it, I just stopped worrying about it. But the town of Upton will, through the town's website, make sure that we have this information out so that you are aware. So if you do get another mailing, you know this is, on behalf of the town that this is happening.
The town board is only gonna vote on the rate, they're not gonna vote on eliminating the program.
No, correct. So, that's where, here we went out to competitive bid, Direct Energy was the lowest price, and we executed that contract with that supplier, and that's what then you see in the mailings, on the website, so.
So the
yeah.
MAA will stay in place forever, we don't have this problem where it took 5 years to get it to be approved.
So
That's correct. That's a correct statement. The goal is to make sure, so the department has been very clear now, when you start a program, they want you to stay out in the marketplace, and I promise you, you're gonna enjoy the stability, you don't have those shocks up and down and so forth. Just watch from the outside, opt out if you need to, but I'm saying to you, after a while, I think you're gonna get comfortable with the program. And let me explain this, so I'm not here to kind of pat myself on the back, but it's terribly opaque, the electricity markets here in ISO New England. If I was to ask you what was a good 12-month future, it's not something you can go in and say, oh, I'm just going to look this up, in the futures market. You can get to it. We're in the market all day, every day. So we are talking professionals to professionals, meaning when they're in the marketplace, they know we're coming in the marketplace because we know that, hey, we're looking at futures that have dipped off, and that's why. As I said earlier, I might be back to see Joe and the select board in February. If we say we have a real warm winter and we have a ton of gas still in the ground, if 2027's futures are down, I'm going to mention to, hey, Joe, would you like to see? He'll talk to the select board. We'll bring him pricing. He might be able to sign 18 months in advance. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we're in the market all day, every day. My hope is, through aggregation, some of that opaqueness is taken, that veil is taken off, and we're able to see what's actually happening in these energy markets now, so that people are more aware. Yes, ma'am.
Just to be clear, if you did not get a letter, we are not in it, but at any given point, we can opt in.
That is a correct statement. At any point, you can opt into this program. Two reasons why, and I don't think I mentioned it. One, you have a third-party supplier, which we've talked about. Two, everyone here gets blanketed with mailings and phones ringing from third-party supply. You're able to call National Grid, and you may have done it a long time ago and not realized it. You can put a supplier block on your bill, and in doing so, that supplier block doesn't allow us to get your information, so we can't enroll you. Even if we send an enrolled transaction, this system says, no, this customer told us no, there's a block on. So that happens sometimes, so all you need to do is call National Grid, remove the block, and then re-enroll. Simple. But those are the two reasons why.
So if I have a 3-year contract with Constellation, if your price is better than what I got, and you could help me get my $150 early termination fee, would that be between you and me, or?
That would be between you and me, and I'd call Constellation, see what we could do, and see how we work that out. The biggest thing is don't opt out of that right now because you'll end up with a fee, and that's what we don't want to do right now.
Perfect.
But I'm going to give you my card so that you and I can talk.
Perfect.
Yes. More questions? I have one other thing that I know I missed, and Denise is probably waiting to tell me right now. If there happens to be anyone here that's from a church or a tax-free entity, a 501c3, something of that nature, unfortunately, the way and it is on the back of this form, unfortunately, the way energy works, National Grid already knows that you're a tax-free entity and they don't charge you taxes. But taxes are applied by the supply portion of your bill. So on the back here, Direct Energy tells you where you need to send your tax-free certificate. And if you don't send in that tax-free certificate, you start to get taxed on your bill. And again, this is democracy, maybe not at its best, but meaning National Grid says that's your supplier that has to tell you that, now they already know, but that's your supplier that needs to tell us that you're tax-free. And I have more bad news, if you happen to be one of these entities. The next contract, we switch from Direct Energy to Constellation. You now need to send that tax-free certificate to Constellation. So again, I think over time, I hope we're able to iron out this situation, because the Bureau of Information is National Grid here. They already are aware that you're tax-free. Why couldn't they just apply that? Welcome to the world of utilities. More questions? Yes, sir.
Is there a change in the bill? Like, so if you're National Grid now, is it still just a National Grid bill with direct supply on it, or is it?
So that's a great question. First, it's still single bill, National Grid, and the whole bit. Actually, the bill does change when you go to a third-party supply, regardless if you're in an aggregation or just a third-party supply. So what National Grid does is say, hey, I'm the whole bill when you're on basic service. Here's your charges. Then when you go to a third-party supply or a municipal aggregation, it breaks it up. Transmission and distribution, supply charges. So it is a little bit different. But the bill itself, the exact same bill other than where you're charged, and then the single line item on the back. All the information contained in it is the same. But you'll see that change up the top of the bill. It's a great point. Thank you for the question.
So does that mean that all payments would still go to National Grid?
Yeah, so, you looking for a job? That's a great question, because functionally, how does this actually work, right? So National Grid, the bearer of all information, takes the full payment in, takes their T&D side, and then they turn around and they send a wire down to Direct Energy for the supply portion. I'm just going to make this up. It's not exactly the same. In total, we're going to be paying about 30 cents a kilowatt hour here. 16 cents for transmission and distribution, and 14 cents for supply. So when we send in that 30 cents per kilowatt hour, let's just say 100 for $30. It's a lovely world, right? But that's not really the way it works. But those $30, they end up taking 16 of it, and 14 goes down to Direct Energy. Single bill, seamless, no problem.
So that just brings me back to the solar piece I had earlier. Totally listened to what you said, but I kind of fumbled it near the end. So because I build the credits through National Grid,
yes.
Now if I go to this lower rate and they're charging me per that kilowatt, those dollar credits that we've accumulated are just paying for themselves. So $300 bill comes in because that's how much I use. I got $1,000 down at $700 credit, but still building as I go through. So as far as that goes from a solar perspective for those who own it, if they get into this program, there's no change. It's just now all of a sudden the 14 cents is what they're charging me when I use it, but 16 cents when I create it.
That is a
And
correct
then
statement.
what you said earlier was that National Grid's rate goes lower. Now,
Just the
at
opposite.
10,
Yep.
I'm only getting credited 10 cents per.
But you're
I'm
paying.
14. Okay.
Knife cuts both ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense now. Thank you.
Yep. You're more than welcome. Yes, sir.
So I'm asking kind of a stupid question for me. When National Grid goes to the DPU and says, we want an increase, and the DPU says, okay, which portion do they get of the increase? Where is it on the usage, or is it on the distribution?
So in this scenario, believe it or not, on basic, they go for both. One is called a rate case, and that's on the T&D. And that's for millions of dollars, and they spread it across all of us. Basic service is literally a stamp-approved rate because they do it twice a year, every year. So that rate case could last 8 months, and I'm talking thousands of IRs or interrogatories, questions to them about why their charges are what they are and so forth. This basic service, they show them what, because they go out to bid twice a year, this is what we've done, here's our process, stamp approved within 10 days. Done. Two different processes, both of them approved by the Department of Public Utilities though. Any more questions? That's all I have for you tonight. I can't thank you enough for coming out. I really appreciate all participation. It was wonderful. Thank you very much.